there is a huge amount of unrecorded human history beneath the ocean surface that we don't know very much about at all.
In 2025, deep beneath the shimmering surface of Alexandria's harbor, divers made a discovery that historians had only dreamed about.
A collection of Egyptian artifacts discovered in a sunken ancient city.
Marble courtyards, towering columns and chambers adorned with traces of gold and lapis lazuli emerged from the sand. Inscriptions bearing the marks of the Ptolemaic dynasty confirmed what ancient texts had long described but no one had truly seen.
They're the secrets of ancient Egypt, which for thousands of years lay submerged beneath the Mediterranean. The treasures belong to two sunken cities which were thought to be the stuff of myth.
Cleopatra's palace, lost for more than 1,000 years, was finally found. What else lies hidden down there? The lost city beneath the waves. Alexandria wasn't always a city divided between land and sea. For centuries, it stood as one of the greatest metropolises of the ancient world, a dazzling center of culture, learning, and power. The famous Library of Alexandria drew scholars from across the Mediterranean. The Pharaoh's lighthouse, one of the seven wonders, guided ships safely into port. Cleopatra herself ruled from a palace complex that overlooked the harbor, a testament to the wealth and ambition of the Ptolemaic dynasty. But the earth beneath Alexandria was restless. Between the 4th and 8th centuries AD, a series of devastating earthquakes shook the Egyptian coast. Massive tremors fractured the ground, causing entire sections of the city to collapse into the sea. Tsunamis followed, sweeping away buildings, monuments, and neighborhoods. The royal quarter where Cleopatra had lived and ruled vanished beneath the waves. For more than a millennium, the submerged ruins remained hidden. Fishermen occasionally snagged their nets on something solid below, but no one knew what lay on the sea floor. Ancient writers like Strabo had described the palace in vivid detail, noting its grandeur and position near the harbor. Yet without physical evidence, these accounts seemed almost mythical. The palace became a legend, a ghost of history whispered about but never confirmed. Modern Alexandria grew above and around the sunken remnants, its bustling streets and crowded waterfront built over a drowned past. The Mediterranean kept its secrets well. Silt and sand covered the ruins, and the murky waters made exploration difficult. But the lost city was still there, waiting. Cleopatra's world, power, luxury, and legacy. Cleopatra VII. Cleopatra was the last active ruler of Ptolemaic Egypt, a dynasty founded by one of Alexander the Great's generals after his death in 323 BC. The Ptolemies were Greek, but they adopted Egyptian customs and styled themselves as pharaohs. They ruled from Alexandria, transforming it into a cosmopolitan hub where Greek, Egyptian, and other Mediterranean cultures intertwined. Cleopatra herself was highly educated, reportedly fluent in multiple languages, and politically astute. She understood that Egypt's survival depended on careful diplomacy with Rome, the rising superpower of the time. Her relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony were not just romantic entanglements, but strategic alliances meant to secure Egypt's independence and her own position. Her palace was more than a residence. It was the heart of Ptolemaic power, a sprawling complex that included temples, gardens, administrative buildings, and private quarters. Ancient writers described it as breathtaking. Strabo, who visited Alexandria shortly after Cleopatra's death, wrote about the royal quarter occupying a significant portion of the city's waterfront. He mentioned marble colonnades, luxurious courtyards, and buildings adorned with precious materials. The palace was designed to impress. Foreign dignitaries, Roman generals, and Egyptian priests all passed through its halls. Every detail reinforced the message that the Ptolemies were not just rulers, but divine figures, worthy of reverence and awe. Gold, lapis lazuli, fine marble, and intricate carvings filled the rooms. Cleopatra's court was a fusion of Greek intellectual tradition and Egyptian religious symbolism, a unique blend that defined her reign. When she died in 30 BC, Egypt became a Roman province. The palace continued to serve as an administrative center, but its glory faded. Centuries later, earthquakes destroyed what remained above water, and the sea claimed the rest. The physical evidence of Cleopatra's world seemed lost forever. Diving into history, how underwater archaeology works, exploring a submerged city is nothing like a land excavation. Divers work in near-zero visibility, surrounded by silt that clouds the water with every movement. Current shift objects and modern pollution threatens delicate artifacts. The Mediterranean, though beautiful, is not kind to archaeologists. Technology has changed everything. Side-scan sonar maps the sea floor, revealing shapes and structures hidden beneath sediment. Remotely operated vehicles equipped with cameras navigate areas too deep or dangerous for human divers. Magnetometers detect metal objects, while sub-bottom profilers peer beneath layers of sand to identify buried ruins. Once a site is located, divers carefully excavate by hand. They use brushes and small tools to remove sediment without damaging fragile materials. Every artifact is photographed in place, its position recorded with GPS coordinates. Context matters. A piece of pottery means little on its own, but its location relative to walls, columns, and other objects can reveal how people lived and worked. Preservation is a constant challenge. Stone can survive underwater for millennia, but wood, textiles, and organic materials decay. Metal corrodes. Even after recovery, artifacts must be treated carefully to prevent them from disintegrating when exposed to air. Some objects spend years in conservation labs before they can be displayed or studied. Working in Alexandria's harbor adds extra complications. The city's modern port is busy with shipping traffic. Divers must navigate around underwater cables, pipelines, and debris. Permissions and permits are required, and collaboration with local authorities is essential. Despite these obstacles, underwater archaeology continues to reveal secrets that would otherwise remain lost. Heraklion Thonis, the city that resurfaced. Before Alexandria became Egypt's dominant port, another city controlled trade in the region. Heraklion, known to Egyptians as Thonis, sat at the mouth of the Nile's Canopic branch. It was a bustling harbor where ships from across the Mediterranean unloaded goods. Temples dedicated to Egyptian gods rose above the waterfront, and merchants from Greece, Phoenicia, and beyond filled its markets. Like Alexandria, Heraklion eventually sank. Earthquakes, rising sea levels, and the gradual subsidence of the Nile Delta pulled the city beneath the waves. For centuries, it existed only in fragmented historical texts. Some scholars doubted it had ever been as significant as ancient writers claimed. In 2000, French archaeologist Frank Godiot and his team discovered Heraklion's ruins submerged in the Bay of Abukir just northeast of Alexandria. What they found was astonishing. Massive stone statues of gods and pharaohs lay on the seabed. Sphinxes, some weighing several tons, rested where they had fallen. Inscriptions confirm the city's identity, matching descriptions from ancient sources. The discovery included temples, shipwrecks, and everyday objects like pottery and coins. Gold jewelry, bronze tools, and stone anchors painted a picture of a thriving port city frozen in time. The layout of streets and buildings suggested careful urban planning, and the variety of artifacts revealed a cosmopolitan population. Heraklion's connection to Alexandria was clear. Both cities served as gateways to Egypt, and both reflected the cultural fusion of Greek and Egyptian traditions under Ptolemaic rule. Cleopatra's ancestors would have known Heraklion well, and goods destined for her palace likely passed through its harbor. The discovery proved that Egypt's sunken cities were not myths, but real places waiting to be rediscovered. Mapping the palace complex. In 2025, archaeologists focused their attention on a deeper section of Alexandria's harbor. Previous surveys had identified promising anomalies, and new sonar scans revealed large structural formations. Divers descended to investigate, and what they found matched ancient descriptions with remarkable precision. The first signs were marble slabs arranged in geometric patterns. These formed courtyards, open spaces that would have been the center of activity in the palace complex. Nearby, massive columns lay toppled, some still partially upright. Their size indicated they once supported grand porticos or roofed halls. The craftsmanship was evident even after centuries underwater. Intricate carvings adorned the capitals, blending Greek architectural styles with Egyptian motifs. Chambers emerged from the silt, their walls showing traces of pigment and decorative materials. Gold leaf fragments, though degraded, still clung to some surfaces. Lapis lazuli, a deep blue stone prized in the ancient world, appeared in small remnants, likely once part of elaborate inlays. The presence of such materials confirmed this was no ordinary building. Only royal or religious structures warranted such expense. Inscriptions were the most exciting find. Carved into stone blocks, they reference the Ptolemaic dynasty by name. Some bore cartouches, the oval symbols used in Egyptian hieroglyphs to denote royal names. Others were in Greek, the administrative language of the Ptolemies. These inscriptions provided direct evidence linking the site to Cleopatra's era. The layout of the complex artifacts aligned with Strabo's descriptions. He had mentioned the palace occupying a prominent position near the harbor, with multiple buildings and courtyards. The underwater ruins showed the same arrangement. Walls formed distinct sections suggesting different functional areas: administrative offices, private quarters, reception halls, and possibly temples. Divers also found smaller artifacts scattered throughout the site. Pottery shards, oil lamps, and fragments of glassware hinted at daily life. These objects, though humble compared to gold and marble, were just as important. They showed that the palace was not just a symbol of power, but a living, functioning space where people worked, ate, and carried out the business of ruling an empire. What the artifacts tell us. Objects recovered from the site offer glimpses into the world of Ptolemaic Egypt. A bronze incense burner still intact would have been used in religious ceremonies. Its design featured both Greek decorative elements and Egyptian symbols, reflecting the cultural synthesis that defined the Ptolemaic court. Fragments of fine glassware suggested banquets and social gatherings. The Ptolemies were known for their lavish feasts, where wine flowed and guests reclined on couches in the Greek style. Cleopatra herself was famous for her hospitality, hosting dignitaries in settings designed to overwhelm and impress. A small statue, possibly of a deity or royal figure, was found near one of the courtyards. Its style was distinctly Egyptian, carved from dark stone and polished to a smooth finish. Such statues would have been placed in shrines or alcoves, serving as focal points for prayer and offerings. Jewelry fragments, though corroded, revealed the sophistication of Ptolemaic craftsmanship. Gold earrings, rings set with semi-precious stones, and delicate chains all pointed to a culture that valued beauty and displayed wealth openly. These items were not just adornments, but statements of status and power. Everyday tools and household items also appeared. Bronze mirrors, cosmetic jars, and grooming implements showed that even in a palace, daily routines continued. Cleopatra, despite her legendary beauty and intellect, lived in a world where practicality and ceremony coexisted. The fusion of Greek and Egyptian styles was everywhere. Columns featured Greek fluting, but were topped with capitals shaped like lotus flowers, a symbol sacred to Egypt. Inscriptions alternated between Greek script and hieroglyphs, sometimes on the same stone. This blending was deliberate, a political and cultural strategy to legitimize Ptolemaic rule in the eyes of both Greek settlers and native Egyptians. Why this changes everything? For historians, the discovery fills critical gaps. Written sources about Cleopatra and her palace existed, but physical evidence was scarce. Now, researchers can compare ancient texts with actual structures and artifacts. Details that seemed exaggerated or symbolic turn out to be accurate. The layout of the palace confirms that the Ptolemies invested heavily in creating spaces that projected power. The scale of the courtyards, the quality of materials, and the integration of religious and administrative functions all support the idea that the palace was central to governance and culture. The discovery also sheds light on the earthquakes that destroyed Alexandria. The way buildings collapsed, the distribution of debris, and the depth at which ruins now rest all provide clues about the magnitude and timing of these disasters. Understanding how ancient cities fell helps modern engineers design structures that can withstand similar events. Cleopatra's image has long been shaped by Roman propaganda, which portrayed her as a seductive manipulator. The physical remains of her palace offer a counter-narrative. They show a ruler who presided over a sophisticated, culturally rich court, one that blended traditions and wielded immense resources. The palace was not just a backdrop for romantic intrigue, but the seat of a functioning government. Archaeologists can now reconsider assumptions about daily life in Ptolemaic Egypt. The artifacts reveal trade connections, religious practices, and social hierarchies. They show how the elite lived, what they valued, and how they maintained power in a complex, multicultural society. Other sunken treasures of the ancient world. Alexandria and Heracleion are not alone. Across the globe, underwater archaeology has uncovered cities and sites that offer windows into the past. Pavlopetri, off the coast of Greece, is one of the oldest submerged cities known. Dating back over 5,000 years, it features streets, buildings, and tombs, all remarkably preserved beneath the waves. The site provides insights into Bronze Age urban planning and daily life. Port Royal, Jamaica was a thriving pirate haven in the 17th century until an earthquake in 1692 sent much of it into the sea. Divers have recovered everyday objects from clay pipes to navigational instruments, painting a vivid picture of life in a Caribbean port town. Dwarka, off the coast of India, is linked to ancient Hindu texts describing a legendary city. Underwater explorations have found structures and artifacts that some researchers believe support the historical basis of these stories, though interpretations remain debated. Each of these sites shares a common thread. Natural disasters, rising seas, or shifting coastlines have hidden entire communities beneath the water. Archaeology brings them back piece by piece, transforming myths and fragmentary records into tangible history. The Mediterranean alone holds countless secrets. Ancient ports, shipwrecks, and coastal settlements lie scattered across its floor. As technology improves, more discoveries are inevitable, each adding to our understanding of how people lived, traded, and built civilizations thousands of years ago. Somewhere beneath the waves in waters we haven't yet explored, another lost palace, another forgotten city waits to be found.